I've heard about this breast milk pitcher idea. A lot of moms are now collecting their breast milk after they're pumping a series, so they have a surplus to feed their kids. And we'll have the video up. So basically, moms are pooling in their breast milk over the day, of course of the day, into a jar or a glass or a container, and then they pour it all out the whole day or even multiple days. And it's really impressive to look at, but at the same time, I feel that that's not the best way to use your breast milk. A lot of moms, when they are producing breast milk, what they're producing today and what they're going to produce in a week or even in a few days, the milk changes. I've learned that when the saliva of a baby or infant touches the milk supply, it actually changes the milk in itself, so that it's giving proper nutrients to that baby at that time. So the nutrients for a baby a week old is very different than a baby a month old. And that's why you want to use the most fresh breast milk. So when moms are pooling in their breast milk like early in the morning and then save it until later, and that's great when you don't have time, but I prefer to freshly express the milk and then feed it to my baby immediately. The fresher the better for me, and if there is a surplus, that's when I'm going to freeze it. So I don't pool into this big container and then mix everything, because the freshly pressed milk that I did in the morning versus at night, like how you freeze it, how you keep it also changes.
Wow, Michelle, that's really interesting. What are people calling this again?
So a lot of people are calling this the Breastmilk Pitcher Method. So another thing is, when I do record this, there is so many. One, it looks like literally a mason jar with a spout on it. It's a mason jar with a handle and a spout. And this one kitchenware company had it for like kitchen oils, and then decided that I'm gonna remarket it for breast milk. And now you have all these copycats doing these like mason jars with it and doing this whole pooling idea. But I just want to make sure that moms understand that you don't need to pool 96 ounces of milk all together, because that's literally like 4 days worth of supply that you're pooling together. So I like to individually pack each one so that you know exactly when you're using it. And if the milk is too old and I don't need it anymore, I actually use it for milk baths and for like eye infections. So use your breast milk wisely and use the freshest ones first.
Yeah, I was just thinking about what you were saying, Michelle, because there is truth to like how and when your baby feeds, like that breast milk changes at that instant. So the hormones that the mother goes through, like when you wake up in the morning, it coincides in your breast milk as well. So the breast milk, I guess, what's inside of it in terms of like the nutrients and then the hormones also, it's different than at night. So you can just imagine feeding breast milk like first in the morning when you wake up and you're active and ready to go, to a baby like at night. We're just pulling everything together. And I like that point that you made about like if the breast milk is a few days old, the nutrients can also kind of deteriorate as well.
That's right. Nutrients deteriorate over time. I mean, safe breast milk is very, very, like, you just want to make sure that you're serving, you are saving your breast milk and doing it very safely. Leaving it on the counter table from room temperature. Feeding room temperature is great because, again, when you're feeding your baby fresh from the breast, it's actually your body temperature. It's already warm. So I like to feed that first before freezing it or putting it in the refrigerator. Because once that happens, you're pretty much trying to stop any bacteria from forming. But again, the longer that it sits out, or even if it is already frozen, the nutrients are pretty much starting to deteriorate. Just like fresh juice, right? When you have fresh juice, you drink it right away. You don't just put it in the fridge for like the whole day and then drink it at night.
Yeah. And another point, Michelle, so when I was pumping with my first two children, it was stressful trying to reach a certain amount after each pump. And imagine if you have this pitcher and you're just like, I have to get to this certain amount, or just like this self-inflicted pressure versus, what naturally comes out and packaging it at each pumping session, and either feeding it directly to your baby or just storing it safely for later versus putting an entire pitcher and be like, look what I did.
I also feel like it gives moms a false sense, right? Like, am I supposed, I think a lot of moms struggle with how much breast milk that they have to produce, and it is a whole big stress factor. So when you're getting a mason jar that's like 64 ounces and that has to be all breast milk, do you know how many sessions, how much time you need to do? You literally to fill that mason jar, and then that gets divided. I mean, your baby's not going to drink 64 ounces at once, right? 64 ounces divided by 6 ounces, at least that's like 10 bottles already. So if you kind of look at it from that point, that's really giving a mom a false sense of what they're supposed to do and how they're supposed to achieve and feel good about themselves. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
Yeah. And you know what, Michelle? Like, I'm really curious, as the listeners and the people watching, if there are any lactation consultants out there, because I'm sure like they definitely deal with the challenges and apparently like fads that come through when it comes to breastfeeding and supporting moms through that journey. I'm really curious to see if there are any lactation consultants out there, and I want to hear their thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to hear a lactation's thoughts on this pitcher method.